Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're taking another look at Karens and their outrageous behavior. And we're starting with times where their actions cost them their careers.
It fueled already heightened racial tensions in the U.S. and would end with Cooper losing her job and facing charges herself.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most infamous times entitled rude and unhinged folks showcase their terrible behavior, only to face the consequences by losing their job or wrecking their business.
I should never have confronted her, and I know that, but I did, and I'm embarrassed by that.
Number 10, DJ Disaster. In 2020, Diana Ploss was a conservative talk radio host with WSMN who regularly talked about her admiration for Donald Trump. But then she threw that career away as she walked down the street in New Hampshire and harassed busy landscape workers.
In the 3-minute tirade, Ploss takes issue with a landscaping crew working on a project Friday in Nashua, right across the street from her now former radio station, WSMN.
And all it took was hearing the employees speak Spanish. Ploss recorded the interaction as she accused the workers of being in the country illegally and demanded that they speak English in America.
What's the first thing I do? Go for my phone. Gotta do a live stream. Have to show people what's going on.
She also decided this proved the government was doing communism. Right. When a stranger stepped in, Ploss berated him for wearing a face mask amid a pandemic and pointed out his race. When WSMN heard about this incident, they dropped her show from the station.
She used to pay to host a talk show at WSMN Radio. That station says Ploss is no longer affiliated with them.
Number 9, anti-tourist Karen. There's a popular saying that drunk words, sober thoughts. Well, in 2023, a seemingly inebriated Brianna Penix was recorded on a train in New York City by another passenger.
Are you German?
He doesn't understand it.
She went on an ever-increasing aggressive and xenophobic rant at a group of German tourists as she towered over them, claiming immigrants shouldn't come into the country. Penix's partner tried to calm the situation and talk train Karen down by warning her she could be arrested.
Breathe, like this, you're gonna get arrested.
I can handle my own.
He even threatened to leave her. Shortly after the viral incident, Penix's employer, pharmaceutical company Capital RX, fired her from her job as a senior talent acquisition specialist as they have a zero-tolerance policy around prejudicial or discriminatory behavior.
I'll get off to the next topic.
Number 8, Pool Patrol Paula. Thanks to cell phones, people can record horrible interactions with Karens to get justice. For example, Stephanie Sebi Strempel, better known as Pool Patrol Paula, had her terrible behavior at a Somerville, South Carolina community swimming pool in 2018 exposed.
Get out! Get out! Get out now!
She was seen shouting at black teenagers with racist overtones, demanding that they leave despite being someone's guests, and threatening to call 911.
It was shocking.
The next day, DJ showed the video to his parents, who believed the attack was racially motivated.
As if that wasn't bad enough, Sebi Strempel was filmed pushing one of them. One victim also said she used racial slurs and continued to be violent. Sebi Strempel made it worse when she attacked law enforcement.
She's alleged to have, when she was being arrested, pushed one officer and hurt him and bit another, breaking the skin. Her bond was set at $65,000 earlier today.
She later pleaded guilty to assault and was fined $1,000. On top of that, the skincare group Rodan & Fields ceased working with Sebi Strempel, who was an independent contractor. Number 7, Park Ranger Karen. Simply enjoying a hobby legally? Apparently, that's enough to get a Karen to involve herself. In 2023, Anthony Gibson captured Tanya Petty, bothering him as he fished at a lake in Georgia.
Hey, so y'all hear what I go through, right? This the third person. I'm in my own neighborhood, and a white person came and bothered me while I'm fishing.
She began by stating it was for residents, which Gibson is. With little resistance, Petty announced she wasn't allowed to record her and that she'd give law enforcement his license plate number. Unfortunately, Gibson stated this was the third time someone had harassed him for fishing in his neighborhood.
She came and said, oh, If you're not a resident, you have to leave. I am a resident.
The video eventually got the attention of Sea Glass Therapy, whom Petty worked for as an independent contractor. The company dropped her, stating they stand against discrimination of all forms.
But what about the next person that looks like me? That's a problem. I'm not fighting for me. I don't care. I told you I grew numb to this. I'm fighting for the next person that don't have a voice.
Number 6, Taco Tina. Some Karens hate it when someone stands up for themselves, even when they've committed a crime. In 2023, employees of the Ortiz Taco Stand in Los Angeles, California, felt the wrath of Renee Latrice Hines after asking her to pay for her food.
Police say after Renee Hines ate the tacos and didn't pay, she went back to her car and came back with pepper spray.
Hines was recorded uttering insults while relentlessly attacking the people, even hurling a sign at the individual filming for showing her license plate. Unsurprisingly, she was arrested and charged on several counts.
Renee Hines was booked into jail on charges of assault with a deadly weapon.
But that's not all. Hines had been working as a temporary contractor for Houston Logistics America through the company Simplified Labor Staff Solutions. Houston fired Hines for her horrid attack.
Her boss, Ash Wahi, is CEO of a staffing agency.
My first reaction was anger. Why? Why somebody has to do something like this when somebody's just trying to feed their family? We found out about her actions at 6:30 in the morning this morning, and she was terminated at 8:30.
Number 5, anti-protest Karen. In 2020, a Black Lives Matter protest took place in Tennessee, but Sonia Holt was not happy about it for some reason.
She was just jumping back and forth to different people.
Sierra Gilmer, a board member of the new generation of freedom fighters, front and center of the protests, absorbing hate words from a few counter-protesters.
She started screaming everything that she did.
The vile anti-protester was filmed screaming homophobic and racist insults at people, many of which are too terrible to repeat. She also had support from those around her who were uttering obscenities that are just as disturbing.
So I do apologize for saying that. I did not mean to demean anybody.
When the video got out, Holt tried to walk back her grim remarks by apologizing in a news interview. However, her employers, the Keith Family Vision Clinic, were less than impressed. They didn't let their business's reputation get dragged through the mud by association, though, promptly firing her.
Holt also told us she did lose her job because of that confrontation, but she has respect for her former employer.
Number 4, McDonald's mayhem. Most people go to McDonald's to grab food and leave. No drama, just some burgery goodness. But in 2023, a chain in Fresno, California, didn't have a calm time. Gina Aiello allegedly got into an argument with staff over a soda. When Luis Aceves, another customer, stepped in and criticized her for being disrespectful, Aiello bellowed a racist insult at him before storming out of the building.
And when she started sitting there telling people, oh, who are you? Look where you work. Look at what you're wearing. It's like you can even hear it in the video.
It was soon discovered she worked at the dental office of Dr. Jack Ohanessian. First, Aiello was put on leave as Ohanessian and company investigated. A few days later, Ohanessian publicly revealed she had been fired, citing his proud heritage of his great-grandfather coming to the States from Armenia and experiencing prejudice.
After we called to confirm her as an employee with the dental office, they released a news statement saying in part, quote, "An employee who is seen on video making offensive comments is no longer part of our team."
Number 3, Permit Patty. When kids show initiative and want to create a business, they should be praised for doing so. But in 2018, Allison Edel shut down a young black girl selling water bottles in San Francisco, California.
This woman is Allison Edel. This morning, she's a social media villain for calling the cops on her young neighbor.
Claiming to be enraged by the noise as she worked from home, Edel confronted Jordan Rogers, demanding to see her permit. Edel then called the cops about the situation, something she denied actually doing. However, it was later proven she did speak to dispatchers.
And I said, please, I'm trying to work. You're screaming, you're yelling, and people have open windows. It's a hot day. Can you please keep it down?
Edel says she never confronted Jordan, just her mother, Erin Austin, who took this video.
After being mocked online and deemed Permit Patty, Edel's businesses, Treatwell Health, reportedly hired a crisis manager to assess the situation. In the end, she had to resign as its CEO due to the horrible publicity and loss of business she had created.
However things unfolded, the backlash has been fierce. Dispensaries have pulled Edel's products off the shelves.
She said she's received numerous death threats, while also being called a racist.
Number 2, South Park Susan. In 2018, sisters Lisa and Mary Garris were waiting for AAA in the parking lot of an apartment building in Charlotte, North Carolina. But then Susan Westwood arrived.
This morning, police are looking for this woman, dubbed South Park Susan, in this video gone viral.
Is your boyfriend here? Is your baby daddy here?
The seemingly intoxicated Karen ranted at the duo with plenty of racism and bragged about her high-paying job. She even threatened the sisters with violence.
Police determined Westwood's report was false and charged her with abusing 911. One of the charges she answered to today in court, while her 2 victims looked on.
Westwood faced several charges, which she pled guilty to and received 12 months of probation alongside other punishments. She was also fired from her employment at Spectrum Enterprises.
This video also captured the woman citing her salary, but her former employer fired her after this video surfaced.
This incident, mixed with further issues, reportedly helped Westwood see she needed to get help for her substance use. She was notably interviewed in 2022, showing remorse for her past actions and insisting she had changed her racist ways. Number 1, Central Park Karen. One incident in 2020 at New York City's Central Park took the internet by storm. On that day, Christian Cooper was birding when he spotted Amy Cooper with an unleashed dog in a prohibited area.
If you have been on social media today, you have likely seen this. A Central Park confrontation went viral, netting more than 25 million views.
When he confronted the woman, whom he's not related to despite their last names, the conversation took a dark turn. Cooper called the cops, dramatically claiming she was being threatened by a black man, all while tugging her poor pup's collar. Thankfully, Christian recorded the incident.
Cooper told News 4 he spoke out because he's cognizant of what's happened in the past when police are called on unarmed black men.
We live in an age of Ahmaud Arbery where, black men are shot, gunned down because of the presumptions that people make.
Amy was slated all over and was even investigated by the police. Her employer, investment firm Franklin Templeton, fired her. She filed a suit and subsequent appeal against the decision. However, in 2023, the court ruled against her.
Cooper was immediately fired from her job. Reports say Cooper has lost her suit against Franklin Templeton, which claimed she was illegally fired and portrayed as a racist.
Have you ever worked for or with a Karen?
Start thinking with your mind, okay? Stop being a Democrat, a dumb Democrat, and go to your room, pack your stuff, and leave.
The majority of Karen attacks occur in a place of business. And in our next video, we're going to show you all the times where employees stood their ground.
I apologize. Please, no, I apologize. I apologize. I have to be in this place.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're examining our picks for iconic times when rude and entitled folks at businesses received some sweet justice from a worker in one way or another.
I've never had anyone come at me with a weapon like that, and it was fight or fight.
Number 10, sauce scandal. Restaurant staff have it rough. Not only do they deal with the usual annoyances, but they also get the full brunt of a Karen meltdown every so often. In 2021, one unidentified woman decided to complain to Pizza Hut manager Sweets Williams. However, she wanted a refund on the pie for having no sauce.
But there's no sauce on here. There's not. Who's throwing the sauce?
Except that didn't stop her from consuming a lot of it. Realizing she wasn't getting the red carpet treatment from Williams, the Karen pushed the pizza off the counter onto the manager before attempting a quick getaway.
Damn!
However, Williams was in hot pursuit and continued arguing with her. With Karen threatening to call the police, Williams pushed her multiple times, eventually causing Karen to fall on the ground.
Come, matter of fact, let me call the police myself. Go ahead.
Number 9, Angry Andrew. There's probably no line of work that deals with more terrible customers than retail. So, just for a moment, we can all vicariously live through Andrew as he worked at a Home Depot store. In the middle of arguing, a Karen couple had seemingly asked for a price check on an item, then made a drama when Andrew asked them to take a photo of it.
We asked you to check price, you said no.
I need somebody here. Yes, you did. I just said, can you get a picture now? And you made a big deal out of that.
Eventually, the employee hit his breaking point, uttering curse words at the pair. The male Karen then tried to sound responsible, but came across as patronizing as he reminded Andrew that he worked there.
Listen to you, dude.
You work here, buddy.
Hey, yeah,
See what I'm saying?
With another worker also taking the side of the couple, Andrew was done, and he angrily quit on the spot.
That guy's nuts. He's having a big issue.
Wow.
We just wanted to check a price on something.
Right.
And he just went crazy.
Number 8, boiling points. In 2021, Sandra Albert was having a bad shift at the Massapequa Diner in Long Island, New York. But in one moment, anyone who ever worked as waitstaff got to vicariously live through her when one unidentified man was being a nightmare.
Sandra says the guy was a semi-regular and has behaved rudely before. But this night, she tells Allison Hall he really crossed the line.
On top of trying to hand his phone number to underage girls, he repeatedly uttered homophobic slurs. He also called Albert an explicit insult several times. Eventually, she had enough and asked him to leave, stating that no employee wanted to wait on him.
Not wanting you. I'm telling you right now.
As he was reluctant, seemingly acting as innocent as possible, she launched into a rant criticizing his terrible behavior. Reportedly, the police were called to the diner. At one point, the man eventually left voluntarily.
You were pretty gutsy, getting your finger up in his face and just really telling him off.
It came from my anger for 5 weeks of seeing his face. I just couldn't stand it anymore.
Number 7, one-handed justice. In one viral moment in 2022, Haley Booth became the coolest person on the planet. According to her, a group of people came into the Waffle House she worked at in Austin, Texas, and were rude and demanding.
The people working in those jobs are people too. They work at much slower pay than most people do, and they're literally living barely paycheck to paycheck.
After they were asked to leave, an argument began between them and the staff, leading to a brawl and objects being chucked around.
That water came straight out of the coffee pot, and that water's like 110 degrees.
Oh, wow. One person flung a metal chair at Booth, who effortlessly caught it with one hand and threw it to the floor, immediately securing her icon status.
If you have ever been to a Waffle House, okay, you know you don't mess with the employees. And I'm not talking about because, one, it's polite, but because you won't win.
After being written up for chucking a sugar shaker at one of the customers, Booth left that restaurant. However, she stated she was blacklisted by the chain from working at other Waffle Houses. Number 6, equal opportunity. Sometimes the best revenge is some amazing malicious compliance. In 2018, the owner of the Pizza Inn in Greenville, South Carolina, Amanda Cartagine, received a complaint from a customer. He approached a staff member and asked them to refill the lettuce section at the salad bar. The manager explained that the employee was autistic and this wasn't part of their responsibilities.
My manager explained to him the situation, privately, and said, look, it's just the staff member, that's not his job, and we've trained him to do this, and there are special circumstances.
Apparently, that wasn't good enough for the man. He suggested a sign warning customers about the restaurant's special needs staff. Cartagine agreed, sort of.
These are like my kids, and it made me angry, but I wanted to do something that was not rude, but got my point across.
Livid at the man's horrid attitude towards her workforce, she placed a sign at the entrance that clarified this was an equal opportunities establishment, that they hired everyone.
She hopes the sign encourages people to be more open-minded.
Number 5, catastrophe. The arrogance of some Karens who think they can do whatever they want and not receive comeuppance is always astonishing. In 2015, one terrible customer had gotten under the skin of an assistant manager at a Chevron station in Salt Lake City, Utah. Her rude behavior caused the employee to refuse her business at the gas pump. After being shown proof that her card hadn't been charged, Karen slapped the manager before trying to make a hasty exit. Unluckily for her, the worker recovered quickly and grabbed the woman, putting her in a picture-perfect headlock as another staff member called the cops, who arrived later and escorted the menace from the business. Number 4, lift language. In 2022, driver James Bode's interaction with Jackie Harford scored a ton of praise for handling a bad situation.
An instance of someone doing the right thing in the face of bigotry and ignorance, again, in the moment.
Working for Lyft, Bode picked up Harford from outside her bar, The Fossil's Last Stand, in Catasauqua, Pennsylvania. As soon as she got in, Harford expressed pleasure in Bode being white and a normal guy that spoke English.
Excuse me?
Like a normal guy? Like you speak English?
With that, Bode told her to get out and criticized her comments. The man Harford was with got angry and threatened violence against the driver. He even uttered racial slurs.
No, I'm calling the cops on you, man. Go ahead. It's all on camera. It's all on camera.
What a lovely couple. Sadly, no charges were issued by the cops, but they did condemn the pair's actions. However, Harford's business received many negative reviews online. Number 3, Batman.
Seattle police say they're sorting out 2 conflicting accounts of what exactly happened.
When the pandemic was in its prime, many establishments had rules that required people to wear masks, regardless of vaccine history. But some folks who ignored this have been quick to play the victim when employees react. In 2021, Bobby Dixon and a friend entered Tweety and Pop Hardware in Seattle, Washington. While the friend didn't wear a mask, Dixon claimed he did. However, the video and the staff dispute this. After receiving hostile treatment, Dixon went to re-enter the store to complain to the manager. Instead, he was met with an employee armed with a baseball bat, telling him to leave.
I've never had anyone come at me with a weapon like that, and it was fight or fight, and I was trying to get out of there, and I just kept coming at me.
After a shove resulting in the loss of the bats, a brawl erupted between the two.
Seattle police, they did take a report in which a store employee told them neither man wore a mask and that both men attacked him.
Number 2, Delta disaster. Some Karens are used to throwing their weight around and getting their way. This makes it cathartic when they finally meet an employee who refuses to cooperate with their demands. In 2018, Susan Perez was furious on a Delta Airlines flight at JFK Airport in New York after being placed near a baby.
He's not going to cry the whole time.
She name-dropped her work with then-Governor Andrew Cuomo and threatened the job of air staff Tabitha.
Thank you, Tabitha. You may not have a job tomorrow.
At this point, Tabitha had enough and wanted Perez off the plane. Immediately, the angry passenger backtracked, trying to apologize.
I apologize. Please, no, I apologize. All right, I apologize. I have to be in this place.
But it was too late as she was kicked off. Afterward, Perez was placed on leave from her job at the Council of the Arts.
Now Perez's name and image have been removed from the council's official website.
Number 1, mayhem in McDonald's. Every so often, some people like to abuse systems to score freebies. In 2018, Sabrina Fontalar allegedly tried to get a free soda with a water cup at a McDonald's in Las Vegas, Nevada. This caused her to argue with staff, including Erica Chavoila. After Fontalar spouted a load of abuse and lobbed a fry, Chavola had enough of her and approached her. Fontalar threw a milkshake and smacked her with a tray, but nothing stopped the employee who grabbed her, threw her about, and hit her several times. Other staff and customers quickly stepped in to separate the brawling duo. Afterward, Chavola wasn't fired by McDonald's for this action-packed altercation, while Fontalar claimed she was charged with battery. Have you ever had a Karen appear at your work?
Karen rampages have been captured on cell phones, store security cameras, and plenty of body cams. Yep, our next video will highlight all the instances recorded on body cams.
Not relaxed at all.
Right here, people.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're looking at infamous moments when a rude, entitled, and belligerent person had their horrible behavior captured on a police body camera.
Will not have it. You understand that? I will not have it.
Island owner.
Those lights and sirens mean nothing.
Alcohol, driving, and entitlement are a super bad mix, as Stephanie Bloodworth found out in February 2022. She was pulled over by the police under suspicion of a DUI in Duck Key, Florida. Yet when the cop approached, Bloodworth ducked back into her car, telling the officer she owns the island before driving off.
You got me up, bro. I own this.
Actively resisting.
When backup arrived and the cops got Bloodworth under arrest, she yelled she didn't know why this was happening, as she was on the phone with her father and kicking the cops.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Bloodworth then switches the island ownership by mentioning it's her father's. When her dad arrived, he didn't help his daughter in the way she was hoping. Instead, he admonished Bloodworth's behavior as the cuffs were slapped on. Ballot Bellow. Karens are always shocked by the consequences of their actions. In July 2023, Beth Mazzaroni attended the Chatham County Board of Elections meeting in Georgia. During the public comments section, which usually involves discussing what's been covered, Mazzaroni decided it was the time to rant about electoral concerns.
Discussing feelings of distrust in Chatham County's voting machines, calling for them to be replaced with paper ballots.
She was asked to leave the podium several times, but reportedly refused to and used free speech as a defense. When the cops arrived and attempted to escort Mazzaroni outside, she fell to the floor and wouldn't get up. So they picked up Mazzaroni without dignity and carried her outside.
She says this experience was demeaning.
Very demeaning for a lady in a skirt to be hauled out the way I was hauled out.
The police didn't arrest her for her disturbance, but the embarrassment of the footage was probably punishment enough.
My civil rights was violated. And also I was harassed and manhandled.
Poolside Karen.
Now the latest woman to be dubbed a Karen for giving people a hard time going about their daily lives.
In 2023, when this incident initially went viral, Blair Featherman claimed the footage had been altered to make her look bad and racist. But as the later body cam showed, no, it was not.
They come here, they don't belong here, they don't pay for this pool.
Okay.
We pay for all the amenities.
At a Lakewood, Colorado apartment complex, Featherman was livid that a Hispanic family was enjoying the swimming pool and having a party on a sunny July 4th weekend. Believing the family was breaking the complex rules, she went on a wide-eyed rant, calling them trash and other such insults, some with racial overtones. Even people who were with Featherman tried to stop her to no avail. When the police arrived, the body cam footage showed Featherman admitting she wasn't usually racist.
And I'm not usually racist at all. But I'll tell you what, when they come in for their party, they're trashy, they're nasty, and they don't belong here. I pay for this.
Plane problem. Planes and Karens are apparently a horrible mix for staff and passengers alike. In 2021, Jacqueline Fleury was on a plane at Salt Lake City International Airport when she was kicked off about something.
She was asked numerous times to leave. It caused delays in the flight. They had to deplane the entire airplane.
Seemingly, as the body cam showed, she was furious over her assigned seating. All the passengers had to be removed to get Fleury off. At the gate, she continued yelling at staff, forcing the police to intervene.
The disturbance, they have deplaned.
No, I did not cause a disturbance.
Jacqueline?
They told me I would get an aisle.
Jacqueline?
All right, dude, give me my...
Come here.
Even after being refunded the ticket, which was nice, Fleury wouldn't calm down and used racial slurs. The cops cuffed the problematic passenger and escorted her out, where she kicked an officer when they put her in their vehicle, adding to her growing list of charges.
Jacqueline Fleury was booked on 3 misdemeanor charges over the weekend: disorderly conduct, assaulting an officer, and interfering with an arrest.
Neighborhood F1 racer.
If it wasn't for the officers stopping Ashley Morgan at the Coffee Pot Turkey Trot, it would have been a tragic Thanksgiving.
In 2022, the annual Thanksgiving 5K race, the Turkey Trot, was taking place in St. Petersburg, Florida. Well, Ashley Morgan wasn't going to let this event ruin her drive. After being pulled over for driving recklessly, she drove off. Morgan approached the area cordoned off for the race, attempting to skirt around police cars.
Officers say Ashley Morgan was driving close to 60 miles per hour.
Thankfully, Morgan was stopped before reaching where the runners were. However, the cops had a rough time dealing with Morgan as she refused to comply and struck her head against the vehicle multiple times. She was also heard on body cam footage claiming the police were treating her like a non-white person in the wrong neighborhood.
No, you're definitely treating me like a colored person. Yep.
Morgan was also pepper sprayed twice to get her under control during her arrest. Congressional Karen. In 2022, Officer Julia Beskin pulled over a vehicle for speeding and texting while driving in Sarasota, Florida.
I was at Euclid and Fruitville.
You don't need to point at the officer.
I'm not pointing at you, I'm pointing in the direction where it was.
Martin Hyde, who was running for public office at the time, was the driver. He made sure she knew that with the classic variant of, "Do you know who I am?" Hyde immediately showcased his condescending attitude that progressively got worse, demonstrating no respect for the cop whatsoever.
Can I see your registration, please? You're not going to give me a registration, sir.
You arrest me?
He accused Beskin of being rude, she wasn't and blamed it on her Russian immigrant status. The cop was born in Latvia before moving to the States.
Is it your Russian immigrant status that makes you talk to people like this?
I'm 10-4, 10-6.
Go on, Superman.
Hyde put out an apology after the incident went viral. However, he ended up losing in the congressional primary race.
I'd like to think that I'll learn from it. I'd like to think other people might learn something from it too.
Hockey hell. For over a decade, Alex Galchenyuk had enjoyed a career in the NHL with several teams, but that all came to an abrupt end in 2023. The police arrived at a scene that showed Galchenyuk sitting in the passenger seat of a car after crashing into a street sign in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Police say Galchenyuk was heavily intoxicated when they arrested him.
His father allegedly moved him from the driver's seat to hide the fact that Galchenyuk had been drunk driving. After getting put into the cop car, Galchenyuk went off on a racist and violent rant, threatening the lives and bloodline of the officers' families.
You understand? I'll chop all of you, right?
What'd you say?
Due to this, the center was released by the Arizona Coyotes, and he pleaded guilty to one charge. Galchenyuk then entered the NHLPA Player Assistance Program.
Drop me off right here, and all your families will live forever.
Nasty and Nordstrom.
A mask showdown at Nordstrom Rack.
The early pandemic really brought out the Karen in people. In 2021, Cara Bell refused to wear a mask at a Nordstrom Rack near Austin, Texas. She then pushed past an employee as she entered a changing room.
And she kept pushing, and so I put my arm out to block her from my entrance, and then she shoved me.
Unsurprisingly, the police were called. Bell, who was running to be on the Lake Travis Independent School District Board, made it as difficult for the officers as possible. Eventually, they coaxed her outside, where she ranted about being mask exempt, refused to identify herself, and called herself a woman of God.
Will not have it. You understand that? I will not have it. I'm sick of being bullied. I'm sick of being lied to, and it's not going to happen anymore. Do you understand?
Bell was handed a citation for her poor behavior. On top of that, Bell, who has promoted far-right conspiracy theories, lost her election to the school board by a massive margin. Wicked in Walgreens.
It all started when the woman was asked to put on her mask.
It quickly escalated from there.
When Luba Bozanich was asked to wear a mask in 2021 at a Walgreens in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, she stated she told off the employee and other shoppers since she was exempt. However, what she meant by that was actually going into an angry Islamophobic and racist rant.
That rant is Islamophobic, it is racist, it is just overall hateful, and it is completely shocking.
That's not the same thing. After allegedly spitting on a customer, Bozanich's vile abuse towards Muslim shoppers was recorded. Bozanich even called the cops on the others, claiming she was the one being threatened. When they arrived, she changed tack and tried to plead for mercy. The police were going to charge her for spitting, but the victim decided not to press charges after Bozanich apologized.
Under arrest for battery.
I didn't do any battery.
No, when you spit on people, that's battery.
Police brutality? In 2021, Terry Wright had a busy week in Texas. First, she went to a Galveston bank and refused to wear a mask or leave the property. When the police intervened, Wright attempted to teach the cop about the law.
You have to abide by the rules, and you have to have a mask on.
This is a state.
It's not. Businesses have the right to refuse service.
The officer eventually had enough and arrested her in the bank. During it, Wright screamed out it was police brutality, only to have customers deadpan respond that it was not.
Not relaxed at all.
Right here, people.
No, it's not.
This infuriated her, so she called them sheep. 6 days later, Wright had another run-in with the police after refusing to wear a mask inside an Office Depot store in Texas City, where she was arrested once more.
No, I'm trying to school you people. I'm trying to school you people. Am I right?
Wright was sentenced to 12 days in jail for her actions in the bank. What's the most unusual or funniest police body cam footage you've ever seen?
One phone call and you're dead. Your whole bloodline is dead.
Patrolman pulled over to re-secure her, and when he opened the back door, she punched him in the face with the handcuffs and tried to flee.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're looking at 10 times Karens attacked cops.
Swung back knowing he grabbed me because he didn't say anything. I didn't know who it was.
For this list, we'll be looking at moments of the rudest and most entitled people that attacked law enforcement officials, security guards, TSA agents, or other similar authority figures, making their situations a million times worse. What happened when you met a Karen in the wild? Cop Chomp. In November 2018, the police arrived at an address in Troy, Michigan to deal with an intoxicated Sylvia Hope Varellen.
Talk about a bizarre night for Troy police officers. This dashcam video allegedly shows Sylvia Varellen in an apparent drunken fight.
She had gotten inside her boyfriend's house, refused to leave, and taken jewelry belonging to his late mother. Immediately, Varellen began fighting the cops both physically and verbally. After being bitten, kicked, and punched, the officers eventually arrested Varellen. However, she asked them to remove a piece of hair from her face, but the cops were on to her nibbling plan and refused.
I need to take the hair out of my face, please. Can you unlock these?
I'm not touching anywhere close to your face because you tried to bite me already.
At the station, she admitted that she had swallowed a pair of earrings, which were taken back later at the hospital. Gross. Fair fight. Skipping out on a taxi fare is never a good idea. And in December 2016, Taiwanese securities broker Dina Hwang Chae-young did just that in Singapore after having too much to drink and catching a lift back home. But not on this driver's shift. Chang Chek Wee was recorded holding on to Huang's bag as he called for help. Well, this angered Huang, who attacked the driver. When Chang let go, Huang went into a restaurant to complain about the driver. Another fight broke out, resulting in Huang biting and striking a security guard.
Hey!
After all that, she then napped outside the restaurant until the police arrived. In 2018, Huang was sentenced to 3 weeks in jail and fined 1,000 Singapore dollars. Hostel at Harrods. The pandemic really brought out all the Karens in their droves. In June 2021, a group of women were escorted out of the luxury shop Harrods in London, England, for not wearing a mask inside and allegedly getting aggressive when asked to wear one. Once outside, the women became hostile and got physical with the guards. After a scuffle for a brief moment, it seemed like things had settled down and everyone could go about their days in relative peace. But no. One of the women saw a gap and spat at a guard before sprinting off. Grim. Unfortunately for her, the mob of guards quickly caught up to her and restrained her until the police arrived and arrested her. Mace Maniac. There's making the situation worse, then there's Karena Weymouth Bell's reaction. In July 2020, she was requested to pull over by the Idaho State Police on the I-84 after driving erratically.
Idaho State Police say 21-year-old Karena Weymouth Bell was swerving in and out of traffic on I-84 on Friday.
Well, Weymouth Bell ignored that and kept going for a while before eventually stopping. Instead of being shameful, she went full rage. Weymouth Bell stomped out of the car and aimed a can of mace at the trooper, who hid behind his door.
Weymouth Bell aggressively approached the trooper.
As the dangerous driver tried to go back to her car, the trooper tasered her, then slapped the cuffs on. After Weymouth Bell was taken to the hospital to be assessed, she was charged with many infractions, including eluding law enforcement, possessing marijuana, and assaulting an officer.
Weymouth Bell is currently in the Ada County Jail. She's facing 6 charges, 2 of which are felonies.
Cuffed Karen. It should have been an easy incident for Officer Jason Charest in March 2015 after getting a call that a woman was behaving poorly in Kingston, New York.
Kingston police say it all started here at Snapper McGee's bar on North Front Street early Friday morning after they received a call for someone acting unruly.
And it was, for a bit. After slapping the handcuffs on Virginia Valdez, who allegedly broke a glass door at the bar, and putting her in the car to take her to the station, the detainee squeezed out of the bracelets. Then she hit Cheris in the face with the cuffs and attempted to escape.
As she was being transported to the station, investigators say she slipped out of her handcuffs and tried to escape the patrol car.
While the cop had to be treated for his injuries, Valdez's plan didn't work and she was processed. But she didn't make it easy by being hostile and trying to give a false identification.
She refused to cooperate with the booking procedure, refused to be fingerprinted, was swinging and fighting at the officers who were attempting to get the whole process done.
But still, at least we got to see her mugshot. Jonesing for juice. No one likes giving up their liquids when heading off for a flight, but Micaiah Coleman's reaction was very OTT in April 2023.
Federal officials say Coleman attacked 3 TSA officers during the security screening process inside Terminal 4 around 6 a.m.
At the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, Coleman had her apple juice taken by TSA agents, causing her to rant as she went through the bin to retrieve it. But when agents blocked her, Coleman got onto a table and fought with the security staff as they attempted to restrain her.
They shut down that checkpoint and called in Phoenix police to arrest Coleman and investigate.
She gave one a concussion after elbowing the officer in the head. Coleman also ripped the agent's clothing, punched one several times, and reportedly bit another before she was detained. Unsurprisingly, Coleman was arrested for her rampage.
Judge setting bond at $4,500, ordering her to wear an ankle monitor and stay away from Sky Harbor.
In June, she was indicted on 6 counts. Extinguisher injustice. Bailing on paying a restaurant bill is bad enough, but Jennifer K. Holder definitely escalated proceedings in January 2023 at the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport in Georgia. When security arrived after Holder tried to enter a secured door, she grabbed a fire extinguisher, sprayed them, then went on a rampage through the airport, scattering it all over the place, covering innocent bystanders. This caused several people to need medical attention for respiratory issues. Even when the cops arrived, they too got covered in foam during Holder's carnage. However, even after arresting her, Holder wasn't done, as she allegedly kicked and spat at the officers. Unsurprisingly, she was charged with numerous crimes, including battery and obstructing law enforcement. Sucker punch. It was meant to be a simple traffic stop for Officer Patrick Cutler in Lincoln Park, Michigan in May 2017. He pulled over a car, found the driver had an expired license, and attempted to arrest her. But the passenger, Kristen Campbell, wasn't having that and got verbally abusive at Cutler.
Officer Cutler pulled over the car Campbell was riding in. He determined the driver did not have a license, and Campbell got mouthy with Officer Cutler while arresting the driver.
With his patience gone, the cop went to arrest Campbell. Dashcam footage showed her spinning around and punching him in the face, giving him a black eye. Uh-oh. Cutler got Campbell to the ground, but she continued to struggle. A bystander handed the cop his handcuffs that he had dropped in the brawl.
I don't know if these are yours. They are. Over here. Thank you. Watch as the bystander throws the cop his handcuffs, lost in the scuffle.
But still, Campbell kept resisting, causing Cutler to taser her 3 times. She spent 2 days in jail and apologized for her behavior.
I told him that twice. I don't know what came over me.
It turns out Officer Cutler pulled over the car Campbell was riding in.
Country girl. In July 2019, an officer pulled over Deborah Hamill's truck in Cashin, Oklahoma, due to broken taillights she had had for 6 months and issued her an $80 fine.
Hamill pulled over for a busted tail light. The entire tailgate smashed in.
So you don't even give a warning for this?
You've been driving around for 6 months like that.
I'm truthful.
However, the driver argued against it, refusing to sign the ticket. So the cop tried to arrest the 65-year-old who drove off. Eventually, the officer caught up and dragged Hamill from the car to put the cuffs on. However, she fought and booted him in the crotch.
Then pulls Hamill out of her truck. That's when you see Hamill kick him in the groin.
With that, he tasered her. Later, once emotions had calmed, the cop asked her why she struggled, and Hamill said it was because she was a country girl.
Yeah, I tried to kick you because I'm a country girl.
In 2020, Hamill pleaded guilty to various charges and received a 4-year deferred sentence alongside fines. Literal street fight. In June 2017, Carmen Matta had far too much to drink and decided disrupting traffic at an intersection in Long Beach, California was a swell idea. She allegedly blocked cars, even jumping on them. When the cop arrived to deal with it, Matta turned her vengeance from vehicles to the law. After being verbally abusive, Matta squared up to the officers as the cars rolled past. Finding her inner Muhammad Ali, Matta dodged the cops' attempts to strike her with a baton several times, which was pretty impressive. Eventually, the officer got the upper hand and dragged her to the ground to arrest her, as she continued insulting him before backup arrived. Matta was unsurprisingly charged with several offenses, including resisting arrest.
Messing with the law usually means that a prison stay is more than likely. Well, for these upcoming Karens, that's exactly what they got.
This is video of a woman going on a racist rant against Asian Americans, and apparently it's not the only incident like it.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're looking at infamous moments where rude and entitled people were put behind bars for their terrible actions.
The details of this case, quote, shocking, vile, cruel, degrading, and disturbing.
Chipotle Karen. Fast food restaurants seemingly bring out the worst in Karens. In 2023, Rosemary Hain was at a Chipotle in Parma, Ohio. However, she wasn't pleased with her burrito bowl and decided to berate a teenage worker before Emily Russell stepped in for her colleague. The rage-filled Hain threw the hot food into Russell's face before making a break for it.
Rosemary Hain told the judge she responded the way she did because the food was disgusting and not what she wanted.
The police later arrested the burrito bandit and she was brought to court on an assault charge. Hain pled guilty to the charge and was sentenced to 180 days in jail, with 90 days suspended, along with a fine. However, she agreed to work at a fast food restaurant for 2 months to reduce her sentence to 30 days behind bars.
Why should the city taxpayers pay for her and feed her for 90 days in jail if I can teach her a sense of empathy?
Picasso Puncher. Some people will do anything to get famous, even if it means desecrating a piece of art history. In 2019, Shaquille Ryan Massey went to the Tate Modern in London, England. But instead of learning from the art for his own artistic ambitions, he wanted his name in the headlines. Massey spotted Pablo Picasso's 1944 piece, Bust of a Woman, and enacted his plan. He sprinted forward and punched the safety glass with a wrapped hand, ripping the 20 million pound valued painting. The artwork immediately went under an 18-month restorative process that cost £350,000. Massey got fame of a certain sort from his vandalism. He also got 18 months in jail. Political problem. Barbara Fielding Morris was known for her vile racist outlook and publicly speaking about white supremacy and issuing anti-Semitic statements.
She's a Nazi, George, a Nazi.
In 2017, Fielding Morris even ran to be an independent member of Parliament in Stoke-on-Trent Central in England. Unsurprisingly, she didn't get close to being elected, but through her blog, she continued stirring as much hate as possible. That came to an end in 2018 when she was arrested for racial hatred. Fielding Morris showcased her vile behavior throughout the court case, representing herself and presenting more racism and conspiracies as mitigation. Unsurprisingly, Fielding Morris was found guilty, admonished by the judge for her sinister behavior, and sentenced to 12 months. Tesco Terror. A couple of days before Christmas in 2018, shoppers were looking for food and gifts at a Tesco supermarket in Rickmansworth, England. However, Lucy Turner decided that she'd do some shoplifting with two friends. The duo stole 174 pounds worth of drinks as Turner acted as the getaway driver.
What is she doing?
Tesco employee Daniel Wood went after the group to stop them from leaving the parking lot. However, Turner drove into Woods, causing serious injury by fracturing the worker's back. Other workers and shoppers attempted to stop the car, repeatedly striking it. Yeah, Yet the thieving car smashed into parked vehicles to escape. In 2019, the dangerous driver was sentenced to 3 years and 2 months in prison for her terrible attack. The last straw. On New Year's Eve 2018, Daniel Taylor was at a McDonald's in St. Petersburg, Florida. However, his evening was ruined as he couldn't find where the straws were.
The law now, we're not allowed to have straws in the lobby, but you can request one.
That was the last straw. Bianduti says he became livid, so she hit record.
Instead of handling it rationally, he argued with worker Yasmin James before lunging for her to drag her over the counter.
Why are you grabbing me? I just didn't understand, what was his intention?
Unfortunately for Taylor, James had some boxing training and soon got the upper hand with several punches to his face. Eventually, other workers stepped in to separate the pair. Taylor, who reportedly kicked another employee as he left, was later arrested for his attacks. In 2019, he pleaded no contest to 2 counts of battery and received 60 days in jail, plus either a fine or community service.
Boy, first of all, you can't grab someone like that. And second of all, there is always someone recording.
Yep, just defending herself. That's right.
Festive jail. Well, so much for the holidays being a time for peace, love, and joy. None of that was to be found when Sharna Walker was arrested in Birmingham, England after launching a racist tirade against bouncer Tristan Price in May 2021. Price had simply been doing his job by asking Walker and her friends to leave for their unruly behavior, and she reacted in the worst way possible, taking her verbal abuse one step further by smashing in the bar's front door and spitting at him. She was subsequently banned from the establishment and charged 2 days later. Walker's sentence would arrive just in time for the Christmas season, as she was given 14 weeks behind bars for criminal damage and aggravated assault. Choosing jail. In 2020, various Black Lives Matter protests took place globally. But rather than support a good cause, Stephanie Rapkin took a very different approach. The lawyer drove to Shorewood, Wisconsin and blocked a march with her car. When the protesters asked for her to move, Rapkin spat at teenager Eric Lucas, who had helped organize the event.
A white woman caught on camera spitting on a young black protester.
After being arrested and then released due to COVID restrictions, people turned up at her property to protest. Rapkin reportedly attacked the activists and the police.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
In 2023, she was found guilty of disorderly conduct. The judge offered her the option to undertake 100 hours of community service and a year of probation. Instead, Rapkin rejected that and opted for 60 days in jail.
Your Honor, I am outright refusing the probation.
A defendant has the right to reject probation.
She does.
Spewing racism at those helping.
Vicky Momberg's last few minutes of freedom, now paying the price for her racist rant.
Even when getting support for something, some Karens can't help but leak their toxic thoughts. In 2016, 2 police officers went to help Vicky Momberg at a parking lot in Johannesburg, South Africa, whose car had been broken into. Trying to help her with the issue, the cops and emergency dispatchers were subjected to a racist tirade from Momberg, filled with apartheid-era slurs.
First, while talking to a 10111 call center agent, and then to a policeman assisting her after a smash and grab.
In 2018, Momberg was found guilty of 4 counts of crimen injuria, which is when a person purposely tarnishes another's dignity. Momberg was sentenced to 3 years in jail, one of which was suspended.
The court looks at the circumstances and the actions of Ms. Momberg as intentional and racial.
She was released in 2019 as part of a prison remission program. Mailing racism.
The details of this case, quote, shocking, vile, cruel, degrading, and disturbing.
In 2020, instead of filling in time during the pandemic by baking banana bread like everyone else, Suzanne Kraft took the term neighbor from hell to a whole other level. She was seemingly upset with a family who lived nearby her in Louisville, Kentucky, simply for being interracial. Kraft sent threatening letters to the Pineda family, sometimes including bullets.
Those threats included spray painting racial slurs on the family's driveway, threatening to run over their 9-year-old daughter.
Even after getting a non-contact order, the vile resident wouldn't stop her harassments. Kraft also has a history of ridiculing other neighbors by drawing racial symbols on the property and uttering slurs at them. In 2023, she was found guilty of 5 counts of mailing threatening communications.
Any apology she could ever offer would be insincere at this point.
Kraft was sentenced to 9 years in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Intolerance in Torrance.
This is video of a woman going on a racist rant against Asian Americans, and apparently it's not the only incident like it.
In 2020, Torrance, California was plagued by the presence of Lena Hernandez. She was recorded a couple of times wandering around parks to harass folks with Asian heritage by uttering racist insults and demanding they go back to their country. While that was drawing attention, another story came to light to get folks a bit of justice. In 2019, Hernandez was verbally abusing an employee at a shopping center. When Casey Lynn Salmoneau stepped in, Hernandez attacked her, pushing her to the ground.
She says it happened in a restroom where there are no security cameras, but she took pictures on her phone as Hernandez walked away from the alleged attack.
After ignoring court summons, the Torrance terror was arrested and taken to a judge in 2020. Hernandez was found guilty of the assault and sentenced to 45 days in jail, 3 years of probation, and a year of anger management.
What she did was violent. It was a violent attack to me. So it should have been the maximum amount of 6 months.
Is there a famous Karen incident that you believe should have ended with the culprit going to jail, yet they didn't?
There is an African-American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog.
All right, get ready, because our next video is going to highlight all the jaw-dropping and expensive rampages from Karens that left everybody stunned.
Everett's cameras captured her coming back throughout the night to do more damage.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for times rude, belligerent, and entitled folk had a temper tantrum so big that it caused damages worth a lot of money.
Crews worked to clear out the damage inside the Rise at 19th apartment complex.
Number 10, Hungry Karen. We all get hangry sometimes, but most of us don't resort to an outburst like Tianis Jones had in 2022. After visiting the McDonald's drive-thru in Lakeland, Florida, she realized her order was wrong.
The sheriff says Jones' sister tried to get her to chill. Nope. Employees offered to reimburse her. Didn't work. She flipped out even more.
So she stormed inside and verbally laid into workers. Then Jones began chucking anything within her reach, some of which struck employees. After her sister came in to drag her away, Jones showed her pregnant stomach and twerked before leaving.
As a grand finale, she whipped up a little shake of her own.
She pulls her shirt up. There you go. There's a little twerk on the way out the door.
Next, she called 911 about the wrong order. Yikes. Altogether, Jones's rampage came to around $100, and she was later arrested. The sheriff didn't help the situation by using as many McDonald's puns as possible in a press conference, which included calling Jones a McMess.
I don't know if she was like 2 fries short of a Happy Meal, or maybe it was she was short of the Happy Meal completely, but she created a McMess.
Number 9, airport parent. Losing your kid in a public place is one of the worst things that can happen to a parent.
Cell phone cameras rolling as an upset woman appears to shout for her kids on Tuesday in the middle of Terminal D.
However, there are better ways of dealing with it than Camelia McMillie did in 2022. While at the Miami International Airport, her children disappeared. McMillie lost it with the gate agent and screamed for them to find her kids. Then she attacked technology. McMillie damaged a boarding pass reader and threw a computer monitor at the employee, injuring them.
Officers say McMillie lost track of her kids and became upset. That's when she started shouting at workers.
Eventually, she was restrained and later arrested and charged for her behavior, which she apologized for. The kids were located in the restroom, having wandered off without telling McMillie. During her rampage, she caused $10,000 worth of damage.
25-year-old Camilla McNeil is facing charges of aggravated battery, criminal mischief, and disorderly conduct.
Number 8. Nasty nuptials. Karens and weddings are a horrible, horrible mix. In 2022, one woman had an expensive tantrum in Chongqing, China. She went to a bridal shop to request a refund of her $550 deposit for a wedding package. However, the store refused. So, did the Karen leave without further incident? No, of course not. She took some scissors and cut away the pricey gowns on display while being filmed by staff. Altogether, she destroyed 32 dresses, causing $11,000 worth of damage. Unsurprisingly, Wedding Karen was arrested for her snippy display. Reportedly, she offered to pay the store around $4,700 in compensation. However, considering that's less than half of the damages, her offer wasn't accepted. Number 7. Sauce scandal. Some restaurants are happy to give you extra sauce for your dipping needs for free. Others may require a fee. It's just how the world works.
Now, this was the scene inside Belle Fry's restaurant early Sunday morning. The chaos breaking out over the price of extra condiments.
However, in 2022, Pearl Azoria, Chitaro Placencia, and Tatiana Johnson weren't happy with the additional $1.75 charge at the Belle Fry's in Manhattan, New York. Rather than decline and leave, the trio went on a massive rampage, destroying and throwing anything in sight.
The video shows the women wrecking the place, jumping over the counter, tossing appliances, bottles of sauce, throwing everything and anything within reach at the workers.
That included cash registers, chairs, and glass bottles, some of which struck staff. When the cops arrived, they reportedly attacked them too. Altogether, the trio caused up to $20,000 worth of destruction and were charged with several counts, including robbery, criminal mischief, and assault.
They did arrest 3 women in their 20s and are now facing felony charges.
Number 6. Gas station rampage. In June 2023, LaShonda Angeline Johnson was banned from the Eagle Stop gas station in Columbia, Missouri. In November of the same year, she went back for more.
This cell phone video here shows the person throwing and smashing, plenty of items throughout the store.
According to Johnson, the staff were taking photos and harassing her, which is a possibility if she had caused issues previously. Regardless, she exploded in rage.
They're smashing registers, computers, and even 2 slushy machines that you see here.
Johnson went around the store, smashing and throwing anything she could before driving away. However, she was later arrested at her home and charged for her frenzy. Johnson smashed a cash register, many liquor bottles, 2 drink machines, and various products, which totaled around $26,500 in damages altogether.
Johnson made her first court appearance today, charged with felony property damage, stealing, and trespassing.
Number 5. The Christmas Vandal. Typically, people will have fun during the holidays, having a calm and relaxing time with friends and family. But not if you're Anna Mikhailovich in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Police say Anna Mikhailovich cut into and spray painted cars, slashed tires, and threw bricks through doors.
In 2023, as folks opened gifts on December 25th, Mikhailovich wandered around the neighborhood, damaging vehicles and property. She keyed and spray painted cars, threw rocks through windows, and slashed tires during her several hours of vandalism.
Neighbors in the area now sort out the lines left in their cars and holes in their homes.
Just don't know why someone would do something like that.
However, a lot of it was caught on camera. The police caught her in the act of destruction. It's estimated that Mikhailowicz's tirade cost up to $200,000. She's charged with 15 felonies and 9 misdemeanors of criminal damage.
Preliminary charges from police show Mikhailovich faces felony and misdemeanor counts of criminal damage to property and resisting arrest.
Number 4. Pipe pillager. Tiffany Vanessa Bradley isn't exactly a beloved resident at the Rise at 19th Apartment Complex in Tacoma, Washington.
People on fixed incomes need to find a new place to stay after police say one of their neighbors destroyed a pipe in their Tacoma apartment complex and caused $2 million in damage.
After all, her neighbors have spoken about her screaming and kicking their doors. But in 2023, Bradley went too far. She damaged a fire standpipe, which is used to give firefighters access to water. This caused the apartment complex to be drenched in water as it gushed out of the pipe in the early hours.
Investigators say on March 9th, 42-year-old Tiffany Vanessa Bradley flooded the building. Documents I obtained say she tampered with a valve inside the complex, causing water to run for 2.5 hours.
Due to the damage from the broken valve, 32 tenants out of 64 had to leave their homes and find temporary accommodation. Bradley's actions are believed to have caused around $2 million worth of damage to the building. Unsurprisingly, she was arrested and charged for her vandalism.
Monday, Bradley, who lived in the apartment complex, appeared in court. She's charged with malicious mischief for allegedly causing $2 million in damages to the apartment complex.
Number 3, expensive smooch. There's a well-known rule when it comes to looking at pieces in an art gallery. Keep your hands off. Unfortunately, Rindy Sam couldn't keep her lips to herself. In 2007, she was at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Avignon, France, which had an exhibition by American artist Cy Twombly. Sam decided to kiss the all-white Phaedrus artwork, leaving a red lipstick stain behind. She later described it as an act of love. Worth $2.8 million at the time, restorers couldn't completely remove Sam's mark from the Phaedrus. Sam was fined $2,200 by the gallery, the painting's owner, and the artist Twombly. In 2009, she was ordered to pay a further 18,840 euros, around $24,100 in restoration costs. Number 2, portrait punch. If you had a long history of crime and wanted to get back at the state, what would you do? Whatever it is, it won't be what Andrew Shannon did in 2012. While at the National Gallery of Ireland in Dublin, he pretended to faint when looking at Claude Monet's Argenture basin with a single sailboat and punched a hole through the artwork. At the time, the work was worth 10 million euros, around $13.7 million. It took 18 months to restore the painting with microscopic needlework. However, 7% of the work couldn't be saved. In 2014, Shannon was sentenced to 6 years in jail with 15 months suspended. Learning nothing, in 2018, he was sentenced to 2 years for handling stolen artwork. Number 1, Hail Mary lawsuit. In 2019, after attending a Marilyn Manson gig, Daniela Lays' evening took a real dive. After drinking at the venue, she started driving back to her house in Ontario, Canada.
Lees did get behind the wheel. According to the agreed statement of facts at her criminal trial, she crashed her vehicle into a home on Woodman Avenue, severing the gas line and causing an explosion.
However, Lays crashed and struck a gas pipe at a residence, causing it to leak. An explosion rocked the neighborhood, destroying several properties. Amazingly, no one perished. Reportedly, Lays caused up to $15 million in damage. In 2021, after pleading guilty to 4 counts, she was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and several lawsuits were filed against her.
In October 2020, Lees pleaded guilty to 4 counts of impaired driving causing bodily harm, ultimately being sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Yet, the tale doesn't end there. In 2023, Lays issued her own lawsuit against the company that supplied the venue she drank at on that fateful night, arguing they should share liability.
The statement of claim says, among other things, the company served her alcohol, didn't monitor how much she was drinking, let her drink more than she should have, and ejected her from the venue without making sure she was not going to drive impaired.
What's the most expensive thing you've accidentally destroyed or damaged? A parent's rare vase? Your significant other's heirloom grandfather clock? A Fabergé egg you found in the garage?
Surveillance video from McDonald's went viral. The world watched as Tiana Jones flung bottles off the counter, smashed through piles of cups, then twerked her way out the door.
We're going to end things today with a look at the worst Karens from the last 24 years, highlighting their most infamous incidents.
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down the most notorious, horrible, cruel, or offensive Karen incidents for each year of the 21st century so far.
And a Valley woman is going viral after being caught on camera deliberately coughing on customers in a grocery store.
2000, anchored down. Working as a Canadian news anchor in 1999, the wheels on Avery Haynes' career came off due to a joke being accidentally aired by a technician in January 2000. Haynes was recording an introduction for a report only to stumble over her words.
Haynes stumbled on one of her lines.
Yesterday, protesting Ottawa's farm-aid program.
The so-called joke she made about her flub has changed her life.
She then made an offensive joke about her brief stuttering being an equal opportunity. Haynes pushed it further with stereotypes and claimed she would have a successful career as such.
I kind of like the little stuttering thing. It's like equal opportunity, right? We have a stuttering newscaster.
Haynes was fired from the job and the technician was suspended. She did apologize and continued to have a successful career in the news business. 2001, tennis tirade. Serena and Venus Williams are two of the greatest athletes the United States has ever produced. While the duo have had all the success on the tennis court, sometimes journalists have made horrible comments. For example, Sid Rosenberg in 2001. While on radio's Imus in the Morning to discuss the French Open, the controversial sports broadcaster called both sisters boys when discussing their appearance, and derogatorily referred to both Venus and Serena.
Serena shocked by racist heckler.
See, I personally stayed away from that for your benefit.
I was on an airplane.
Even fellow guests and contributors on the show were astonished at the rant. 2002, pitching slurs. After making inflammatory comments filled with slurs to Sports Illustrated in 1999, you'd think baseball pitcher John Rocker would have kept his head down and focused on his MLB career.
It was the comments he made to Sports Illustrated writer Jeff Pearlman that caused a national outcry. Rocker told SI he would never play for a New York team.
But no. In 2002, he was at a restaurant in Dallas, Texas. Reportedly, Rocker loudly uttered homophobic insults at two men before he left. Then, out in the parking lot, Rocker got into a vile argument with a transgender woman. Rocker later apologized and claimed he was badgered by customers there.
But when people say, you're racist, you're a bigot, how do you respond?
Oh, well, I guess you think, whatever you think.
But, like, what's the reality of the situation?
I mean, just what can you say, you know? I know who I am. My friends know who I am.
Regardless, that doesn't give the pitcher leeway to be horrendous. A waiter who was working there dismissed Rocker's versions of events. 2003, mayonnaise mayhem. In 2003, Waynetta Nolan was handed the cheeseburger she ordered at the drive-thru at McDonald's in Houston, Texas. But when she examined it, she realized there was no mayonnaise on it, which didn't come with that burger. After arguing with the staff, Nolan lobbed the mayonnaise-less item at them. When manager Sherry Jenkins offered her a specially made burger, Nolan complained about the fries and soda. With Nolan still angry, Jenkins called the cops, then went outside to write down Nolan's license plate number. Then Nolan hit Jenkins with her car, breaking the manager's pelvis, before speeding off. She was later arrested and claimed she accidentally hit the accelerator. Nolan was sentenced to 10 years in prison. 2004, broadcasting bias. At one point, Ron Atkinson was a respected former soccer player and manager who had started a new career in punditry and commentary for matches. But when Monaco faced Chelsea in the Champions League semifinal in 2004, Atkinson tarnished any goodwill he had created.
I'm not talking to anybody. I'm sitting there I'm like this, just watching tape roll around. I'm muttering, if anything. And then they showed Desai, who had also been critical of in the game. And that is when apparently I made the alleged remark.
Working on ITV, he was heard on his microphone making a horrible comment about Chelsea's Marcel Desailly that continued a racial slur. While it wasn't broadcast in the UK, it was heard in the Middle East and other parts of the world.
Atkinson made the comments after Tuesday's Champions League match between Chelsea and Monaco.
I put the television on and just checked through the news headlines, and it was on there.
And I thought, oh, what's he done now? Because he's prone to gaffes anyway. And I saw what it was. I couldn't believe it.
With no way back from that, Atkinson apologized and resigned from his position in disgrace. 2005, Maximus Decimus Carenius. Many of us had issues at some point in connecting a phone call.
I have to ask this question. A lot of this trouble happened because you were trying to make a phone call to your wife, and I never heard in all the accounts I've read, did you ever get to make that phone call? No. You've never, you're still waiting since then, right? Yeah.
But not many of us have taken it out on someone who has nothing to do with technical issues. But then again, we're not Russell Crowe. In 2005, the Gladiator actor was at the Mercer Hotel in New York when his room landline couldn't get through to his wife in Australia.
His response was, whatever, and he hung up on me, so
I went downstairs and had a word with him.
Crow allegedly pulled the device from the wall, argued with the concierge, then threw the phone at him, causing injuries. While the following lawsuit from the victim was settled for a figure reportedly in the six figures, Crow had to face criminal charges.
I never touched him, mate. Never touched him, never laid a finger on him.
Due to admitting fault, he was given a conditional discharge and fined $160. 2006, Karen Kramer. Due to his multi-award-winning work as Cosmo Kramer on Seinfeld, Michael Richards was a respected actor and comedian. But then his 2006 stand-up set happened at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, California. Being heckled as a comedian is pretty typical. Richards' reaction? Not so much.
All right, you see? It shocks you. It shocks you.
He was recorded on stage going on an expletive-filled rant at a group of people and, more shockingly, screaming racial slurs several times. Unsurprisingly, there was a lot of outrage. An infamous apology on The Late Show with David Letterman with aid from Jerry Seinfeld didn't make the matter go away for Richards.
I lost my temper on stage. I was at a comedy club trying to do my act, and I got heckled, and I took it badly and went into a rage.
2007, abandoning the elderly. In 2007, a couple heard a strange moaning sound coming from the local garbage dump in Erode, Tamil Nadu, India. When the couple arrived, they discovered an ill elderly woman, Chinamal Polanyappan. They took Polanyappan home and fed her as she told them the story. She stated that she had been living with one of her daughters. However, after an argument in the family over who would look after the ill Polanyappan, the daughter took her two sons, Polanyappan's grandsons, to take her somewhere she couldn't come back from. So they bundled her into a vehicle and dropped her at a dump. Unfortunately, Polanyappan didn't know her daughter's address. A week after, she sadly passed away. 2008, Radio Karen's Taxi. After working as a news reporter for various regional channels, Sam Mason became a reporter for BBC Radio Bristol in 2008. And only 2 months later, she wrecked her career trajectory. While off air, Mason called a local taxi firm to pick up her teenage daughter to take her to her grandparents.
Here is part of that telephone call.
I know this sounds really racist, and I'm not being. Please don't send anyone that might. Do you know what I mean? An English person would be great. A female would be better.
Right, okay, we can't actually, we would class that as being racist.
During the call, Mason requested the company not send an Asian driver as a guy with a turban might freak her out. The operator refused to book the racist request, angering the BBC DJ who called back later to speak to the manager. Mason was also fired for her terrible behavior.
Dispatcher released the tape of the call to the press in Great Britain. And now the BBC has fired Mason.
The operator who had illegally recorded the conversation and sent it to the media was unfortunately also let go. 2009, tantrum in the terminal. In 2009, before the word Karen was used as a negative adjective, we had a viral incident of one at the Hong Kong International Airport. According to reports, an unnamed Chinese woman had missed her flight to San Francisco, California. Instead of handling it like a grown-up, she had a full-blown temper tantrum. After attempting to run past security to the airplane and failing badly, she resorted to yelling. Then Airport Karen threw herself to the floor while bellowing, "I want to go," in Cantonese as an embarrassed older man tried to get her up. The airline, Cathay Pacific, who seemed far too accommodating to her bizarre antics, put the woman on a later flight to Los Angeles. 2010, McNugget Menace. Most people like to mark the new year by either taking care of themselves after a late night or doing something significant. Well, Melody Duchesne decided to celebrate 2010 with a crime. She was at a drive-thru window for a McDonald's in Toledo, Ohio. However, as it was the morning, she couldn't get the chicken McNuggets she wanted.
The Ohio woman wants a McNugget so badly, she went a bit McNuts.
Instead of getting something else or waiting, Duchesne leaned inside, hit the two employees, then chucked a bottle through the window before speeding off. She was later arrested for her antics, which she claimed took place under the influence of alcohol. Regardless, Duchesne was sentenced to 60 days in jail. 3 years of probation, and had to pay for the restaurant's new window. 2011, the never-ending call. When you're in the quiet carriage of a train, you'd expect it to be, well, quiet. But not if you had Lakeisha Beard aboard in 2011. As passengers settled in for a long journey from Oakland, California to Salem, Oregon, Beard decided to fill in the time by talking on her phone, which is already against the rules.
She is 39-year-old Lakeisha Beard. She was charged with disorderly conduct.
But she did it for 16 hours. Even with people getting annoyed and arguing with her, forcing staff to get involved and make repeated announcements, Beard wouldn't get off her device.
Passengers say she talked loudly on her phone nearly nonstop for 16 hours. From Oakland, California to Salem, that's 16 hours.
After the chatty Karen got aggressive with a frustrated passenger, she was removed from the train and charged by police for disorderly conduct. Beard stated she felt disrespected by the removal. 2012, United Nations Karen. Using the London Underground can already be annoying enough. It's crowded, the tube's noisy, and you're lucky to get a seat. But in 2012, Jacqueline Woodhouse made it a lot worse. As she got on, she walked into a black woman, sparking a drunk Woodhouse to erupt in a curse word-filled racist rant.
Jacqueline Woodhouse said she was so drunk when she boarded this Central Line train, she couldn't remember the journey. Those who shared the carriage certainly remember.
On top of telling non-white passengers that it's not their country, she uttered her racist idea that while she used to live in England, now it's turned into the United Nations. After the video was released, Woodhouse handed herself into the police, where she was charged for her tirade.
Woodhouse's outrageous behaviour was filmed by a passenger who protested.
Watch what you say. Yeah, watch what you're saying.
I used to live in England, now I live in the United Nations.
So keep your mouth shut then.
On top of losing her job, she was sentenced to 21 weeks in jail and got a 5-year antisocial behavior order. 2013, terrible tweet. Before boarding a flight from London, England to Cape Town, South Africa, Juntine Sacco sent out a tweet in 2013. When she landed 11 hours later, she saw the massive outrage from her words and the hashtag has Juntine landed.
Her Twitter account exploding, her reputation imploding. Online critics launched the hashtag Has Justine Landed Yet? Anxiously awaiting the moment Sacco would get online and perhaps discover at last the severity of the response.
There were articles, parody accounts, and angry posts everywhere. It's not too surprising considering Sacco put up a horrendous joke stating she was off to South Africa in hopes she wouldn't contract AIDS. But she wouldn't since she's white. Sacco, who was born in South Africa, apologized for her remarks. However, that didn't stop her from being fired as a senior director of corporate communications for the company she worked for.
She was fired Saturday from her top PR job at internet giant IAC, where she repped some of the biggest names online.
2014, appalling in Australia. In 2014, a packed train in Sydney, Australia was made more stressful with Karen Bailey on board. She was recorded going off on a racist rant, using derogatory language and gestures against Asian people, all while pretending her name was Sue Wilkins to escape consequences.
The whole train's looking at you. Yeah, that's great. I can video too. I can do that too.
However, that didn't work. Bailey claimed she was under a lot of stress after being scammed out of $100,000 by a man she met on a dating site. Struggling to find work and knee pain, she was charged for her terrible behavior and pleaded guilty, but escaped a fine. Instead, she got a 12-month good behavior bond.
Oh, I'm deeply ashamed of what I've done. It's awful. No one deserves to be spoken to like that. It's awful. It's disgusting.
However, unsurprisingly, Bailey continued to struggle with finding work as a legal secretary in the immediate aftermath. 2015, second time's no charm. Having been fired from her workplace in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for yelling racial slurs at a customer in 2015, Tara Lynn Belcher went for double or nothing. After a man from the store followed her outside the parking lot to record her, she launched into another racist tirade against him.
Thousands on social media have seen the video, and the man who shot it says he couldn't believe the words the woman was yelling, so he began recording on his cell phone to show her boss.
She followed up by spitting on the guy, causing him to react physically. The man also claimed Belcher pulled his dreadlocks. However, when the police arrived on a false robbery claim, Belcher claimed the man had spat on her, attacked her, and stolen her cell phone. When they saw the video evidence, they arrested Belcher for assault, battery, and possessing an illegal substance.
And once they seen the video, they seen that that story that she told them was not the truth.
2016, broker brawl. In 2016, Taiwanese securities broker Dina Huang Chi-young was returning to her Singapore condominium in a taxi after a night of entertaining clients and consuming a massive amount of sake. However, she decided not to pay and attempted to leave, forcing the driver to hold on to her bag. Huang responded by hitting him multiple times and screaming at him, even bragging about her wealth. When he released her, she went and got help from a manager at a nearby restaurant. Then Huang attacked a security guard, biting the latter. When the police arrived, they found the broker asleep outside the restaurant. In 2018, Huang was jailed for 3 weeks and fined $1,000 for her rampage of assaults. 2017, shopping for ignorance. All it took was Eva Hicks politely asking to move past a woman in a Walmart in Bentonville, Arkansas. Back in 2017, she was trying to get some medicine, but what she got was a Karen launching into a racist tirade.
Don't be rude. You're the one that's rude.
No, I said,
yes,
excuse me, I'm trying to buy
You're
something.
In America.
So?
You're in America.
So what?
The unnamed woman began complaining that she had apparently been told to move aside on every aisle during her shopping, before telling Hicks to go back to Mexico. When another customer thankfully called this Karen ignorant, she reiterated by spitting out a racial slur. An assistant manager eventually arrived to stand up for Hicks and the other customer, which upset Karen. So she headed for the hills.
During the incident, several bystanders and a store manager stepped in to defend Hicks.
I feel love. I feel like, yes, I belong here. There is no reason for somebody to treat me less just because my skin is different, just because I have an accent.
2018, Permit Patty. It takes a special kind of Karen to complain to the cops about a child selling bottles of water on the street to raise money to go to Disneyland. But that's exactly what Allison Edel did, now also known as Permit Patty.
This woman is Allison Edel. This morning, she's a social media villain for calling the cops on her young neighbor.
Yeah, and illegally selling water without a permit?
We don't know what happened leading up to this video being shot. Edel, being called Permit Patty online, says she was working at home upstairs, and Jordan's sales pitch was loud and nonstop.
She was recorded telling the police the African-American girl was selling the water illegally without a permit. Edel claimed she took action since she was working from her San Francisco, California home, but the noise from the sales was distracting her. She also stated she didn't actually call the cops, but her 911 call audio was discovered. Uh-oh. With the massive backlash, Edel was forced to resign as CEO of her company after local businesses cut ties with the firm.
However things unfolded, the backlash has been fierce. Dispensaries have pulled Edel's products off the shelves. She said she's received numerous death threats, while also being called a racist.
I think she's a bully. Just the fact that she called the police on a child, that's evil. But to call on a child of color, knowing that police have been killing black kids, that says to me that you don't care about my child's life.
2019, no apology Karen. If you were at a restaurant and another table was apparently being loud, would you talk to them reasonably or aggressively confront them and mutter racial slurs? If you awfully chose the latter, you'd be in the same boat as Nancy Goodman in 2019.
A North Carolina woman is defending her use of a racial slur in a video that's now gone viral.
I've got real really stuff. Good friends that are black, and I love them. We never said anything about color.
At a grill restaurant in Raleigh, North Carolina, she was filmed by Shonda Stewart and Lakeisha Shaw as she got into an argument with them and used a racial insult. When she was interviewed later by the media, Goodman refused to apologize. stated she would use the slur again and mentioned one of the causes was that she had tremendous anxiety, as though that gave her a pass.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry to them because they kept pushing at it. So, and that's all I'd really like to say.
What about your use of the N-word?
I used that word because they forced me into it.
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it. I would say it again to them.
She says she would use that word again to you all.
Wow. Wow. That's sad.
The restaurant was horrified at what happened and banned Goodman from their establishment. 2020, Central Park Karen. In 2020, comic book creator Christian Cooper was enjoying the outdoors and bird watching in New York City's famed Central Park. However, his eyes left the feathered creatures when he saw Amy Cooper, no relation, and her dog who was off its leash, which was prohibited there. After Christian asked her to put a leash on her dog, Amy Cooper did something dangerous and vile.
There is an African-American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog.
If you have been on social media today, you have likely seen this. A Central Park confrontation went viral, netting more than 25 million views. In it, a white woman appears to call police, accusing a black man of threatening her after he asked her to put her dog on a leash.
She called the cops and made up a story about an African-American man threatening her. She was investigated for her fake report, but eventually any charges were dropped after she completed an educational program on racial identity. However, the court of public opinion ruled harshly against her, and she was fired from her job at an investment firm. She appealed that firing, but lost that case in 2023.
Cooper was immediately fired from her job. Reports say Cooper has lost her suit against Franklin Templeton, which claimed she was illegally fired and portrayed as a racist. 2021, Coughing Karen. It's bonkers how many Karens were triggered by people trying to stay safe during a pandemic by wearing masks and social distancing. And in 2021, it was Janine Hoskovec's turn in that disappointing spotlight.
A woman caught on camera coughing at customers at a grocery store.
Before anybody started talking about COVID, you were okay with that, though, going out not knowing you were sick.
The woman recording the tirade initially posted it on Reddit. In her post, she says she and her child were grocery shopping when the woman approached them asking why they were wearing masks. The incident happening in Lincoln, Nebraska, where a mask mandate is in effect. She writes that the woman then called them sheep and started doing this.
Excuse me? Excuse me.
She was recorded following a woman and her child around a store in Lincoln, Nebraska. On top of refusing to wear a mask and bringing out the cliche of referring to those wearing masks as sheep, Hoskovec was enjoying spreading fear as she repeatedly coughed at the woman, smirking as she claimed it was due to allergies. As the footage spread outrage online, Hoskovec's employers at a German software company were notified. They investigated the incident and then fired her.
Internet investigators also identifying Hoskovec's employer as SAP, which confirmed it was investigating the situation, later tweeting she no longer works there.
2022, Plano Karen. In 2022, after an evening at a restaurant in Plano, Texas, 4 Indian American women were set to get in their cars and head home. Instead, Esmeralda Upton popped up in the parking lot. Reportedly, without any provocation, she began ranting at them.
Steve, we talked to one of the women in the group. She says she's still traumatized by the racial slurs and the assault, and that civil lawsuit, it's for pain and suffering and emotional distress.
Upton stated how much she hates Indians while throwing in more racial slurs, insults, and then getting physical with them. When she realized one of the women was recording the encounter, Upton's rage increased.
The assailant just said, "Go back where you came from," and she used some harsh words, derogatory words, and then she walked right up to us.
And the first thing we did was I started recording, and the other friend, she called 911.
Go back to India! Why? We don't want you here!
Police have identified the woman seen in the video as Esmeralda Upton of Plano. She continues to threaten them again using several expletives.
She even threatened their lives. The police eventually arrived, but did little except de-escalate the situation. However, the next day they arrested Upton on several charges. 2023, bellowing intimidation. It's always impressive how calm people can be when faced with horrid racism. In 2023, Rita Ballou was at a pizzeria in Hatboro, Pennsylvania. Livid that the establishment had Spanish on the TV, she launched into a tirade against the owner, Omar Quinones.
You want to have Spanish on your TV?
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Because you're not American, dude.
Police used this video as part of their investigation.
I don't want your food. Why won't you give me your credit on my credit card? You're calling me racist because I am white. Why?
After claiming the Spanish program was an insult to Americans, Baloo demanded her money back and claimed Quinones was an illegal immigrant.
The rant went on for several minutes, but throughout it all, Omar remained calm.
I was angry, but I'll explain that. I just want to be like them. You know, I was not expecting things like that. Like I said, all my customers, they're really nice people. They come over here to say hi. I never seen that before, 10 years. And that was the first time.
Weirdly, she called the other staff members racist for filming the incident, then began recording herself and making up what happened. The police arrived later, and Baloo was charged with ethnic intimidation and harassment. Which Karen's story horrified you the most?
You're not American. Get off of my property.
Suarez says for more than a year, Klein, a complete stranger, terrorized her family at their home in South St. Louis.
Well, that's going to do it for this special look at even more times Karens ran wild. Thanks for watching. I've been Matt from Watch Mojo, and I'll see you next time.